definitely.
and wokeness.
No, I don't think
Oh, in
wokeness is like
Holland
the
it's not?
big
Okay.
part. No, not well.
I know in
Definitely
Hungary and
exists.
Poland it is.
It definitely exists in Holland, but it's
Mhm.
not big of a factor in like the political landscape. It's more
Okay.
like the immigration. The immigration is a mess. The
Yeah.
fact that the IRS basically is so like our, what the fuck do you guys call it? Um benefits. The benefits that we have over here are
Oh, yeah.
actually designed to make the people that are dependent on the benefits, to make them more poor,
Yeah.
to have them abide by more rules than the people that have like above like average income. It's so fucking retarded that they don't even know how to fix it.
Yeah. No,
So
that's a lot of
we're
European
heading for a
areas.
fucking massive, we're hitting a wall over here.
You're just going to be absorbed by the European Union. I told you Holland wasn't a real country to begin with.
No, it's not going to get
How dare you?
swallowed up by the EU. Like it's the,
It'll
the EU.
become East Germany.
Well, they gave us New York City.
Don't you dare call me
mole.
East German, okay? That is hurting my soul.
Did I get that? I'm trying to envision
What the fuck?
where Holland is.
The Dutch and the Germans. Ah, yes, the same countries. God.
Get rid of that
No,
fake language
probably-
of yours too, which is
No,
just
it's
German.
not fake.
It's like someone was learning how to speak Korean.
Hey, they do good Dutch show. Dutch.
I lived in
history.
Germany for 6 years.
Say the Dutch and the Germans
It's a
kind of hate
whole
each other.
different political spectrum.
Yeah, it's
I mean-
a real country. They have their own mystery.
Yeah.
Everybody over there
and
hates
their own
the
reality
Germans.
series.
Well, it's not as much that we hate the Germans. It's just we are polar opposites almost, and
Yeah.
especially with the World War II, like and definitely in my city,
Mhm.
we were affected by the bombing the most.
Yeah.
So whenever you talk about German people in my city, it's just like you're getting the bombastic side eye. They're like, yeah, no, thank you, just no. Mm-mm.
Also, there's a lot of like stereotypes. Like the stereotypes
yeah.
are like the Germans are like all these like uptight, like snooty, like workaholics, and like the Dutch
That's a
are
stereotype?
stereotypically
No, actually, that's
that's
not the stereotype.
really.
No.
That's the stereotype I know.
I'll
And then the
No,
Dutch are like
no.
super like chill.
No,
and,
Germans are nihilists and don't give a fuck about anything.
Right.
Maybe
We
I'm
are
German.
more. We are like the way that I see it, because we're like the smallest country. That's
Yeah.
not true. The smallest country is actually either Liechtenstein or Luxembourg.
Yeah.
But
But
we're
you're
like one
a
of the
very
smallest
small one.
countries. Yeah, but we are like the barking Chihuahua in Europe.
Oh,
I'm saying y'all should
mean-
just like get together
he-
with Liechtenstein and Luxembourg and
Where
just
is-
It's
He's
too
not. You know,
Become-
he's not from
become
Germany.
Europe part deux.
He's not
Where's-
from Germany or from Norway. So I mean, I guess he doesn't really. It's not really a valid conversation. But if Trump chose the Swedish Chef as his VP, I'd vote for him.
Swedish chef. I actually like. Wouldn't it be funny if he took the VP to be Kanye West?
Oh Jesus, that would be a
No.
fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
No.
Like that debate between Kamala and Kanye would be worth the entire debacle. But at the same time, it would be a complete nightmare disaster. Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
would.
like
I would
that
be
one
ready for it,
debate.
honestly.
That one debate would be worth the entire like 4 years that follow. Whatever.
That's I think
happens.
the only possible debate Kamala could win, and that's
could
only
win. Yeah.
and that's only because Kanye West is so fucking insane that
Yep.
like
Yep.
there's- that overcomes her lack of charisma. Like everyone will like
Yeah.
just like side eye.
what? Why is that our choices?
Yeah, I'm pretty like, and here's the thing: you guys were talking about like physical health and all that stuff, but isn't it more important to actually have someone as chief of command with their complete faculties, like their mental capacities, like completely in order?
Yeah,
totally.
Because right now it's pretty. I think it's
not in
very-
America. We don't really do
Let her
faculties.
finish.
I mean,
Let her
but
finish.
I think it's very scary that you guys have someone in charge that can also just on a whim decide to, hey, let's just fire up NORAD and see what's going to happen, because that will be fun.
Well,
We're gonna
no,
Well,
look
that's
at
why
it.
our politics
for
matter
what
more.
it's-
It's all the
for
thermonuclear
what
weapons.
it's worth. That's not exactly how it goes. The Pentagon does
Nope.
have a significant amount of jurisdiction over things like that. And for what it's and our Pentagon, as many criticisms as many people like me and others have levied at it, is full of typically level-headed people.
Checks and
Fully who?
balances. Yep.
Full of who?
Level-headed people.
Oh, okay.
Get the fuck out of here with that.
As far as more or
Yeah.
less.
More or
One
less,
man,
my
one
working
man
belief.
does
My
not have
working
the choice to push the button.
Yes.
No,
it
I
is-
know
I
we have all
know,
these
I know that's not
insiders
like
with-
actually
No, I
factually correct.
yeah, I understand your issues because, like, I mean, when Donald Trump was president, he talked about nukes and nuking people
Right.
more than presidents I think ought to. Just it.
Nuke him. Let's
broad-
I don't
nuke
know.
him.
I don't know. I think if I was president, I might mention it a few times. Just
broadly
because like
broadly
you have
speaking, I think when governments who are
Flexing your
nuclear
muscles,
powers,
when you get that suitcase that actually has like the
Wrong.
codes in it and stuff like
Like
that,
the
you have like
basketball, you're getting
the
a
nuclear
suitcase.
football.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Nuclear
called the
football
football.
thing, you know?
No,
Yeah,
I
the
thought it
football.
basketball. I
Yeah.
called it the basketball. It's more fun. Basketball is very American.
It'd be real
Very.
hard. It'd be real hard not to mention it. To be like, well, I could just like I got this little thing right here. I guess let's see what happens.
Didn't isn't it possible for Biden to basically just hold a press conference and say like, yeah, we're going to war because
Well,
I'm feeling
sort
like
of.
it.
No,
So
it
he
has to be
cannot.
only
he can't-
Congress
yeah,
can authorize
Yeah,
war.
he can't authorize war, but he can authorize military actions, which admittedly,
Limited military action,
well,
supposedly.
Obama pushed that
I
envelope
mean,
quite a
every
bit, though.
single war we've had in the
Every-
last 40 years.
I was gonna
So
say every president has
limited to that.
pushed that envelope.
That's because Congress won't do their job.
I mean,
Sure.
not really. I do think
But it
there's-
is still the state of things.
there's also a degree of like I think presidents have been, in my estimation, overstepping their bounds in the kinds of military actions that we're allowing without the approval of Congress. I do think there's
No, Congress
As-
is deliberately abdicating that so they don't have to
Yes.
take the political
sure,
responsibility
sure,
for it.
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And if
But
they
I
if they
think
wanted to
that's
stop a
bad.
war tomorrow, they could. They could all
How do
get
y'all
together
know what
tonight
Congress is
and
doing?
change all the
What
funding to zero.
we to see inside of people's minds? And it
Because
just
if they wanted to stop the wars
absolutely-
tonight, they would get together and turn all the funding to zero. The second half of my
yeah,
Well,
sentence.
it's not about the funding.
It's
It's just
actually interesting because you guys were just talking about it. Like the rest of the world is basically looking at the United States because you guys are the leading countries.
Yeah.
You also fund a lot of things over
Yes.
here, which
yes.
Yep.
Dennison has said to me like so many times that it actually hurts every time that I actually have to confirm it. But yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
But look at what is happening right now with the Ukraine and Russia and everything, like the war in Israel and Palestine. Why is nobody actually doing something? Why aren't they just saying like, hey, you know what? This is it. Fuck you.
Because it
It's
serves
just
their best
done.
interests.
Well, I mean, like
It serves
so,
their
Right.
best interest to keep this
so
going.
Right.
there are a lot of so with the Ukraine thing, it is more that we are defending a country that is being invaded,
Oh,
or
Jesus
where
Christ.
we are supporting a country that is, we're not actually defending them, but we are supporting them.
What are you
and
supporting? Which country are you? Do you think that you're
He's
supporting?
talking about Ukraine.
Ukraine.
But you think the United States is actually supporting the Ukraine because the
not
United
to,
States is actually supporting Russia.
not to the
Yes.
not to the degree that we need to. No, we in fact I think there is a argument to be made that our lack of full-throated support for Ukraine serves a purpose of keeping Russia
Full-throated.
engaged. Yeah. Keeps Russia engaged in a forever war, which politically benefits us because Russia is one of our geopolitical enemies, and having them engaged in a long, drawn-out conflict that is draining them of resources and manpower benefits us because it's weakening them.
Correct.
At the expense of Ukraine.
Yes, at the expense of Ukraine. Whereas we could just plop down $100 billion of stuff, give it to Ukraine, and help them actually win the war quickly.
No, even with
that
that,
would defeat the purpose.
I don't even know that would actually win the war quickly. I mean,
No.
Ukraine is so tiny compared to Russia.
When I say quickly, what I mean is in like a matter of months rather than years.
No,
Even then,
they have
even
been
then,
like NATO.
I don't see a situation in which Ukraine wins that war, no
Right.
matter what.
I mean,
NATO also has been helping the
Yes.
Ukraine with a lot of stuff and basically
Yes.
just providing them ammunition and everything that
Yes.
you can think of.
yeah,
But nothing is happening.
Europe stepped the fuck up, by the way. Europe is
Yeah,
putting the
sadly, we
United
did.
States to
Mhm.
shame in the
No,
amount
that's
that they're-
because
Well,
that's
good. They're
because Trump
closer in
pushed them to
proximity
step
anyway.
up.
We didn't get involved in World War II till later either.
yeah.
Yeah, it's because they're
Yeah.
afraid NATO might not exist if they don't finally start paying a fraction of their share.
Yep.
Which
know-
I
you
like
know-
is how it's being worded as showing the United States the fuck up, because now they're paying half of what they're supposed to be paying instead of a tenth of what they're supposed
I mean,
to be
Right.
paying.
not all of them. I mean, like for instance, Poland is supposed to be like what at 5% military funding by like the end of 2027 or something like that,
Could be,
which by
yeah.
the way is fucking insane. For like a small European country to spend 5% of your budget on the military is like
Well,
an
not in Poland,
insane amount.
right?
No,
Like
in Poland.
the reason why Poland is like that because it's Poland. They know what
Well,
happens.
Yeah, that's
Well-
for each country to determine, and I'm sure they have reasons.
But
for
it's
that.
Well,
not
they-
supposed to be for
so,
each
Jeff,
country to determine. That's
yeah,
not how a treaty
NATO,
works.
yeah,
No,
Comes from
hold
the
on.
defense spending.
NATO actually they
they do require 3%.
yeah, they require the countries that are aligned with
Are-
NATO
yeah.
to have
Dedic-
as much percentage to help them.
Yeah,
I
it's-
think
they have to have
we
3%.
also got reprimanded, but I'm not sure like what the amount
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
Like
3%.
there's a lot of European countries that have been sort of like hovering just below 3%. Mostly because like, so the way European countries a lot of times they do their defense is like each country will like specialize in different kinds of sort of military engagements. So like, France, they focus on like their helicopter corps, and Germany focuses on their tank corps, and then together combined they form a military
Planet America.
kind of, yeah. And like the big thing is just like making sure that all of these countries maintain that level of funding, which the Ukraine war has spurned a lot of these countries into action to actually dedicate a significant portion, because Russia invading Ukraine is honestly pretty bad for the rest of Europe too.
Well, Macron's about ready to throw his forces
though?
behind Ukraine.
Oh yeah, Macron's fucking France is ready to fucking get down and dirty. He's like I will not.
Which is a new one for France. Yeah.
Yeah. They've got okay. France doesn't have
But
any.
France is always good at starting fights.
Yeah, but no, they're not.
They're
not
always
looking-
willing to
they're
get
not-
in
they're
there.
not- they're not
They don't
so
like
good at-
injustice. They're always like, "We're gonna kick your fucking ass." That's
Well-
wrong. And then it's after they start the fight that they're like, "Oh,
let's not-
okay,
let's
maybe
not-
that wasn't such a good idea."
Let's not
No,
get-
we
let's-
don't.
Unless,
know.
of course,
We
it's
don't
against the Vietnamese. Then they can last a few
Yeah,
more decades.
I was about to say, let's not uncritically support France, considering all of the fucked up military actions they have done the world
it's-
over.
You don't
it's
uncritically
just- it's
support
just-
anything. Really?
Well,
It's
yeah.
just it. Well,
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't
I
think we
think
should be
it's good.
defending
I think it's
Ukraine
good
at
to not
all.
uncritically support
I think
it.
I think Europe would be better off if Putin just took the water supply in the Black Sea and NATO kind of retreated a little bit. It would be better for everybody on planet
I don't
Earth.
know, Denizen. That sounds like a pretty cucked take. All right, I for one don't like dictators. So
Not my problem. You live under a dictator too.
I don't.
Yeah, your president. Your president is absolutely a dictator. He blew up the pipeline too.
If he's a
He didn't ask
dictator,
Congress for that shit.
very tolerable.
You
one.
can pretend the pipeline.
There is
Yes.
there has been evidence that the U.S. is what is
Fucking, said he was going to do it
The
before he did
The
it.
Nord Stream was fucking blown up by the U.S. Like, there's no denying it. It really happened.
You get it?
We
These
might
people
have
who
had a
believe in
hand
the
in
American
that.
political system, they're way too brainwashed.
Who
to
was
have
it? It's
this
like
kind of
Schellen. I think it
conversation.
was Schellenberg.
I'm brainwashed by
or whatever
what? My own experience.
again, I'm not uncritically supportive of America, but you know, you don't have to agree that America is like some perfect good guy to say, hey, yo,
It's the best place.
maybe
Oh God,
Russia
no.
maybe Russia shouldn't be allowed to invade other countries.
Well, who's
Maybe
gonna
that's
stop?
No one
well,
should. It's not just Russia. No
well,
one
yes,
should be
no one
allowed
should
to
be
just
allowed
You
to.
gotta
invade
stop
a
him. It doesn't
country.
matter what should be.
You can't
have
stop
to
him. It's
have the
over. He's
ability-
already done it.
Yeah,
He
he's done
occupies the Donbass now.
right.
Well, that's why you kick them the fuck out.
The window of the
Yeah.
window
Good
of
luck with that,
opportunity
buddy.
was in the first week
I
when he
mean-
actually started making the claims that he was gonna invade Ukraine and he was gonna invade the Donbass. That's when everybody was supposed to be like, hey, you know what, Putin, that's not gonna happen because
Yeah.
this and that should
say Europe's been through this before
Maybe
a
you
couple
have to.
times where countries would be like,
Yes.
oh, I'll just invade this tiny little country and then I'll be fine. And then, you know,
Yes,
a year
just
later they're
ask
like,
Poland.
oh, we'll invade
That's
this
all I
tiny
need.
little
I
country.
just need one little country. Just one little
Yeah.
country, man. Just like
So
I just need
Europe
I just
kinda
need
knows.
I just need a country. Okay.
But
I just need
what's
a country. I'm
different
just like,
about
you know.
that and all the rest of history? Like, aren't we just
Nothing. It's
watching
just
the same
history
thing that
repeats.
Well, the
countries have always done?
difference is that that was, well, okay, so in the past, people thought it was acceptable to do. But today we don't think it's acceptable to do.
Some countries don't think, but that don't mean all the rest of the countries have to give up what they
Exactly.
thought was
When did anybody
acceptable at
think
one
it was
time and
acceptable?
adopt a new
The
norm.
countries who are doing the invading think it's acceptable. The countries
Yes.
being invaded never thought it was okay.
Well,
Yeah,
no.
that's
I
true.
think if you were to go back like 15, because if you were to go back like say 1500 years in Europe, I can imagine that even though, so say for instance France probably didn't like it when England invaded them in the 100 Years' War, that didn't mean that France wasn't against them invading other countries, because France did invade other countries. You can oppose the invasion of yourself while being okay with your country invading other countries.
Yeah, that's colonialism. That's exactly what I just said.
Sure.
The invading countries are perfectly cool with it.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, like,
You're
today,
describing the vast majority of human history.
But
yeah, sure, but in
You're
the
also
modern,
describing two of the biggest colonialist.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
yeah, colonialist
Yep.
powers, yeah.
Right.
Sure. But the thing is, the thing that's changed today is we countries around the world have accepted the idea that invasion is not a legitimizing factor in
When you say
gaining land.
countries, all of them haven't, right?
The majority of them have. That's what the UN is.
I don't
That's
see that
actually
much
why-
of a political change between.
That's actually
So
why
the ones
the
that
UN,
haven't,
But I
are
mean, the
just
UN
doing
is how
what
old?
countries have always done. They're the historical norm.
Yeah, if
Sure.
if you're talking like the last 80 to 100 years, I think have
Yeah.
been pretty politically consistent.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously, the political sort of ideal has been might makes right. However, today, the zeitgeist has changed, and people broadly,
In some countries,
in many countries, people
in
broadly
many,
do
but
not
still
accept
some,
that
not all.
might
We're
makes
what
right.
my point is, we're seeing two strata of civilization here. Like,
I mean, Russia
Intention.
doesn't even agree,
I
at
know.
least
but the
openly,
ones
that might makes right.
I don't really see it
ones
that way.
from-
I think the might makes right is like the fundamental law of nature, and
Right.
human society has always kind of been politically opposed to that idea that we can surpass that by, appealing to our higher sensibilities.
I mean, not always. Like, for instance,
no,
I
but I don't see like there's no political change
It's like
in the
you're
last
holding-
80 years
you're
on that
holding
regard when it
the
comes
might
to
make-
invading another country.
I am holding might makes right to a moral standard.
to
yes.
the standard of a more advanced civilization instead of taking them on their own terms.
Well,
And
considering,
that's one of my
considering that
criticisms that I've
we
used in the issue
explicitly,
debate, which you
the
took
world
off this
explicitly formed the UN so that we could stop this like invading shit to solve problems.
That worked
doesn't-
out well.
It doesn't always
Eh.
work. I mean, it
Did you
actually
think that
has.
was going to happen overnight, like forming the UN, and all of a sudden nobody invades anymore?
Well, no.
I
Or
know.
is it
I
like-
think the people who formed the UN are some invading colonialist
Hang on,
motherfuckers.
Jeff.
Hey,
I need to like get with you on this, because like this is, I'm trying to understand. Okay, so
So some
Russia-
countries adopted a new ideal, and now they want all these other countries that didn't to live by it. So they
So
formed the
it is-
UN
it is worth
to
noting.
try to propagate this new ideal
Yeah,
into
so
the
it's worth noting, Jeff, that
like ideological colonization.
of the countries that are a part of that, Russia is one of those. So
Okay.
like,
So how does that get resolved within that body then?
well, I mean, that body is first off not perfect. It's actually very, very imperfect because countries like Russia, China, the United States, and Great Britain have.
But it was some
veto
countries that
power.
came together and said we're not going to invade anymore, and then one of them
Yeah.
starts invading.
Yes.
And when they came together, did they set up policies for when that happen? If that happens,
Yeah, that's actually
Well,
what
we do a lot of invading too.
well, yeah, sure we do. But like we're
and that
American,
includes
so-
Canada and Australia as well.
so then what is the purpose of the U? It's not work. Whatever they came together
because what we've been doing. So like the world has sanctioned Russia broadly. Many countries have sanctioned the ever loving shit out of Russia.
I remember
Is there any evidence any of that is working?
Yes. Would you?
But what about the UN? Like, why is it still
needed? Sorry.
Yeah, citation needed.
Citation.
I need.
Okay.
I need
So-
citations of
okay.
actually the sanctions that have been put on Russia actually working to
It
stop
seems to be
Russia
working,
from doing the
yeah,
thing
in
that
their
they
favor.
are actively doing.
Yeah.
It seems
okay.
to be working in their favor. In fact, with the way
Right.
gas prices are.
So there's actually a number of ways in which it's been working. So of Russian military equipment, a lot of it, especially all of their modern equipment requires imports of foreign systems for their stuff to work. Like for instance, their newest tank, the T-14, relies super heavily on imported parts from Europe.
Isn't that why they are working together with China now?
Right.
Oh yes, because they're trying to change this. However,
Right.
China is not like some like full-throated supporter of Russia because China is
Ooh.
involved. Because China is involved in the world economy, and China doesn't.
Are you sure that China is not like heavily involved in like funding Russia? Because
I'm pretty sure they
China
are.
is-
Yeah.
No.
China is waging a war on Taiwan too right now.
Well, not really, not an actual
Oh,
war, but
not
they do
really.
have.
Oh no,
It's a proxy war the same way it is for us.
It's not a proxy war. They're not at war with Taiwan.
They are
Yes.
getting into battle
They
positions.
definitely want to invade it and take it
No,
over.
they definitely want to invade it, but like they're not at war with Taiwan.
They're getting into battle positions. It's taking time because they have to, like, China is pretty smart when it comes to, the art of war.
I mean,
but it's happening.
The Chinese
didn't they write that book?
The Chinese military, the modern Chinese military, is actually almost completely untested. They haven't. China hasn't been in a major military like engagement in over 50 years.
Other than the
which is kind of scary
skirmish
because
with
we don't know how good they are.
No, they have.
Right.
They've had a bunch of
again.
they've had a bunch of border skirmishes, but they haven't like had major conflicts. So they're.
But that doesn't mean that they actually have been training. Like this
No,
is just
but there's a
the
difference.
argument doesn't
training.
make sense because we haven't been in active war ourselves for over 80 years now. I don't even know how many.
40.
Years.
Yeah.
What 40? No, I mean the Holland.
Yeah,
like
no,
Holland,
yeah, no, and that's
but
absolutely
we're still training and we're still like evolving as
training isn't the same thing as experience in an actual conflict. There's a big difference in those two things.
Battle tested is a thing for a reason.
Yes. And it's one of the it's a factor. I'm not saying that like China's
I'll
military
make sure
is
that
like
I'll tell the Ministry of Defense over here that they don't have to do all the training anymore because it's just not helping. It's
no,
not
it's
war.
not.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not helping. It's that like it's not the same. It's literally isn't the same thing. It functionally is not the same thing as being
it's
in an
not
actual
the same
conflict.
thing, but you can definitely like
prepare.
train
Yeah.
your battle stations. And
yes. But like
the
if you're going,
the more you train, the more you actually figure out what your weaknesses are.
Yeah.
That's why they train. That's why they do
absolutely.
all the exercises and everything.
Absolutely.
That's why our defense is actually working together with Finland and with Germany. We're working together with Germany for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
but we work together with other countries to actually play fight.
Yeah,
which
no.
sounds retarded, but
No.
they
I
do.
understand.
All I know is that
I'm
the
not trying to.
Chinese trained their military like they trained their acrobats were fucked.
No. I'm not trying. I'm not. And I apologize.
They're contortionists.
I'm not trying to discount the necessity of training. Training is necessary, but it is worth noting that, like, if China were to, like, for instance, invade Taiwan, the United States would defend Taiwan easily. That's like, and if you're going up
I don't
against,
know. I
yes,
don't
we
know
would.
if they would. I don't
We
know.
absolutely would.
Why?
Well,
What? Why do you
because
think
of
that
the
they would?
ocean, the
Just for the
Strait of
ocean?
Taiwan.
No. So
Yeah,
there's a number.
passage.
There's a number of reasons why. So, like, yeah, the sea, that, like, sea route would absolutely be a big reason. But in addition, like, Taiwan is the world's leading producer in God, what, something to do with, like, computer chips.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
and so, like, yeah, we would absolutely defend them. We already have, like, treaties that we will defend them. We have military bases over there. Like, we will defend Taiwan if they're invaded. And I think
We
that's
are starting to
and that is
relocate those manufacturing processes.
that
by
is
the
a
way,
very bad scenario. If we can go into war with
Yeah.
China,
but
that is a bad scenario.
that's one of the reasons why
the
I don't
United States has been
that's one of the reasons why I
quickly,
don't
since
think
Trump
China
took
is going to
office,
invade.
has been quickly moving toward moving away our manufacturing processes from Taiwan.
I mean, Biden has been too. Like, we do want to.
No, yeah, since Trump, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, the thing is,
There's a corporate effort for that as well.
China's biggest thing is they don't want to interrupt global shipping. Okay, because as much as people might not really get this, but, like, China and America, their interests, at least economically, align almost perfectly.
Why? So okay, then the question that I have
Citation
for you,
needed.
well, exactly.
Well,
Why
no,
would
because
America
we're dependent on each
benefit
other.
from defending Taiwan
Yeah,
if
that's
they
not a good
actually
thing.
I think it's a good thing.
geopolitical have more to gain to stand beside China?
Well, because, so, like, there's a bunch of reasons. There are a lot of reasons why we want to defend China, or to defend Taiwan.
The
But, like,
chips. That was just in 2016. They already started the process of getting away from Taiwan and actually
sure, but
manufacturing it somewhere else.
in
I think they
addition,
actually went back to the United States, didn't they?
There's some
Yeah.
initiatives to get our processor building back in the United States, and especially, like, if you consider, if you refer to it as America, right? Because
but it's not
there's
that.
an effort to
America.
bring that
The
back to
thing
Mexico as well.
The thing is, it's not that simple. Is the thing. Like, you can't just be like, oh, okay, we'll just build it here, and then
That's why
immediately
it didn't
You
happen
kind of
in
can actually.
2016.
Not really. But yeah, it is worth noting that we have attempted to diversify our sources of those kinds of technologies. But that doesn't, like, mean that Taiwan's no longer important. Taiwan is also a very important U.S. military base. The United States having military bases around the world is actually, like, kind of our thing, and it's basically, it's important for it's actually,
Colonialist.
yes, but it's not just important for us, it's actually important for the world. Because one of the things that the United States does is we are, like, we are the biggest defenders of global shipping.
Of
And
what?
global
Oh,
shipping.
global shipping. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously we have a lot of interest in that. But the thing is, China also has a lot of interest in protecting global shipping. They do
It's their whole economy. Yeah,
Yes.
their whole. I mean, their whole. If that's the reason why I've never been worried about China trying to directly invade the U.S. because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because, like, China needs the U.S.
Yeah,
for
but by
their
that
economy.
same, token, China isn't going to do something that will literally provoke the United States into war.
I would actually argue that the United States needs China and not the other way around.
I think
it's
No,
symbiotic.
I think China needs our money. They
Yeah.
need the money that they get from us. However, it does not
The
mean
dollar
that
isn't even that much worth at the moment.
Well, it's not so much about the dollar.
It's not even about that.
Like, it's about, like, so it's a large part about manufacturing. Which, by the way, the importance of China is going to be diminishing soon because India is actually becoming the new, like, India is turning into what China was in the early 2000s. They've done a bunch of investing in their.
But India is like Jesus Christ, it's such a fucking hard word. Geopolitical. the opponent to the United States?
No.
Not really.
They're more like
not-
British.
No, they hate the Chinese.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the thing. India
yeah,
fucking
okay.
hates China. And so as
It would make a
because of
great
that-
way for the United States to kind of peel back on its relationship with China and put pressure on
But
it.
the alliance with it's Russia, China, Brazil, and who else were the other
Iran.
two?
Yeah, what's it called?
BRICS.
BRICS, yeah.
Brazil, Russia, Iran,
BRICS?
China, and
Yeah.
Well,
What's
China's making
Original
big inroads into Africa.
Yeah, they
these
are.
yeah.
days.
Is it Somalia? Is it one of the African countries?
It's a bunch of them. They're doing a bunch of like
South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the Emirates.
yeah, they're basically doing what America does, and they're like doing sort of a version of neocolonialism.
But it's the more macho version.
Look who owns the Panama Canal
I
now.
mean, not really. I mean, like they're doing it via money. Like America, we a lot of times did it via like planning coups and invasions. China just
How
like
do you know all this? What people?
Well,
are
I
planning?
mean,
They
it's
admit to it.
Sorry.
Declassified CIA documents
Yeah.
show that we
like
did that.
past
I mean,
stuff, yeah. But right,
Yeah,
he's
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
suddenly like right now.
Right,
they're
so they
doing
did it every single time throughout history,
So it's an
all the way
info.
up until the last thing that's ever been released, but they
Now-
don't do it now.
Now we've shifted.
They
well,
they stop now. This is we're
No,
right
this
in the
is
we're in the
this is
real
last
time.
okay?
This is the first time the media isn't lying about everything and the CIA isn't doing any of this shit.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
speculation.
So
Right now.
I was checking.
have-
That's it.
we
I
have
got
actually
mad.
significantly shifted to doing more like soft power stuff, just because our experience, especially in the 21st century, has shown that the sort of like hard power, like going in with like your military, doesn't really work. We learned in Afghanistan and
Well, good thing
Iraq.
we have people like Joshua Jones. to
We're
implement
literally doing it in Ukraine.
power.
Well, no, we're not. What?
Yes,
Ukra-
yes, we
Ukraine is
literally
another-
are doing it in Ukraine
So-
right now.
Okay, no. Okay, so what I'm
Yes,
saying
yes.
is, okay, what are we doing right
Literally started with the color revolution in order to support the counter culture movement in Ukraine when Putin tried to
Okay, that's soft
he
power.
tried to take over Ukraine with political means.
now?
and
Then
then-
that's soft power. That's not hard power. That's soft power.
Okay, who cares? I'm talking about the CIA doing exactly what they have been doing in the past. We're literally doing it in Ukraine right now. Like
But are we
and-
doing it for our
first off,
benefit
for-
and our own self-interest?
Yeah.
well, I'm sure that the arms dealers and
First
the
off, we
people
don't
the
have
people
evidence.
who the
don't
people in
have
the unchangeable unelected state in the United States believe it's in their
We
best
We
interest.
don't have evidence.
I don't think it's in my best
that
interest.
the United States formed
The
a
deep
color
state.
revolution. Also, like, God,
You don't
Denizen,
believe in the administrative state, then you're just not paying attention to how the United States government
there is.
works.
I do acknowledge the existence of an administrative bureaucracy.
Okay, so it's
I don't
unchanged
believe
and
it's
unelected.
the driver's seat.
Does this
Hey,
have to
hey.
deal with the octopus murders that we like?
Well,
watched not long ago?
literally the CIA would be part of that administrative state, correct? By
The octopus
definition,
burners,
it's
you mean like the last circle and shit like that?
Denizen. Okay, so I need to have like a really good heart to heart
Oh, I
with you.
forgot the
Okay,
name.
like,
No,
what
you
do you,
get-
when you say
cool.
color revolution, what do you mean?
I mean, when the United States goes into another country and supports political dissidents in order to overthrow current political movements, it's
Like they did
similar, exactly like we did in Ukraine, similar to like we did in Iran, like
We
we've been
did-
doing it.
We did Ukraine.
So well,
Yes,
there's no
admittedly
evidence.
so.
No.
Oh,
there's
Jesus
no
Christ, no
evidence.
evidence.
Zelensky
We do
has
like that
has
around
been
that.
trying to get-
Once
It's always valued and appreciated.
If you have evidence that we have, please go ahead.
that the United States supported the civil war in Ukraine in 2008. There's no evidence that we did that with money, at
Well,
the
then
very
you-
least out in the open.
Hang on.
And then not only reportedly in the United States with special forces as well, including the training for the personnel and the military equipment that's being used right now in Ukraine.
First off, you're shifting the goalposts.
No, there's no shifting the goalposts. Just because
Absolutely.
whatever you're thinking in your head isn't exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the CIA
Uh-huh.
using money, weapons, and influence to overthrow political.
And
Just
again,
show us
I'm
a
gonna
Wikipedia
ask
or
some
article.
evidence for that. because like I'm not saying it's impossible. We've done similar things in the past. But
I
like
asked you about like I needed citations about the whole Taiwan thing, and the only thing that you can come up with was microchips. That's why the United States is gonna
he just
save
stated
Taiwan.
He just stated it. He didn't come up with any citations at all. But,
but
I'll come up with some citations.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean,
post
I'm
the link in the
yeah,
back.
no. You don't even have to post a link. What I'm saying is, tell me something that I can like Google, right? Because like if I just Google,
I did,
CIA,
but I did.
CIA, if I just say, okay, if I Google
I
CIA,
just did. The fact that you don't recognize the terms that I'm using is it's surprising.
I thought you were trying to communicate.
No, it has nothing.
The CIA support for the Orange Revolution in 2008 in Ukraine.
So
those are not. That's not specific enough for you. That doesn't ring any bells. You don't think you can Google that?
So first off, I know what a color revolution is. I wanted to make sure that like what you were talking about was a color revolution, because I've heard people call things color revolutions that
the Ukrainians called it one.
Okay, I don't care what
this talks about like it's a conspiracy theory.
Listen, bro, I don't know. Like conspiracies are how things get done.
The involvement
you're a political baby if you don't know the conspiracies are how things get done.
The Orange Revolution was steered by the CIA.
And if you don't care what the Ukrainians called it, then I don't know what kind of conversation we're having. I think I might need to sit this one out for a while.
Just because the Ukrainians call it that doesn't mean it is that. Like, do you agree that like someone can call something and it not be that thing?
Yeah, like
no, yeah. So let me be more specific. I don't give a fuck whether or not it was a color revolution. I was using the term Orange Revolution because that's what it's called.
Yeah, that is what they call it. So that is what it's known as. It's the what's in question is
I'd be interested to have a conversation with you too about how they call things that they aren't, right?
That's what they said.
But that would seem like an entirely separate conversation from the one we're having, which is whether or not the CIA tries to influence governments around the world and lies about it on TV.
I don't even know if that's in dispute. Specifically,
it was a second ago. No, it was a second ago. I do agree. Yes, no, that's exactly what was up for dispute. So I'm going to need some evidence for that.
Or the Ukraine.
Oh, those are conspiracy theories. I don't believe in that stuff. These are literal quotes from me.
The link I looked up when I Googled it said it was a belief that the CIA was involved, but that leads me to believe that there's no evidence for it.
Some people no evidence. It's a belief because there's no evidence for it.
You have evidence.
So you looked into it at all.
In the back.
Yeah, go ahead and well, I just gave you what you can Google. He said he could Google it. You spend the next 48 hours Googling that and come back and tell me that there's no evidence for it.
Part of this issue, Denizen, is that there is
because the CIA did not support the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, right? That's what you're saying. You don't believe it. It's just a conspiracy theory. Okay, I'm not interested in convincing you. I think you're politically a baby if you believe that.
I'm telling you what the Google told. The DuckDuckGo, actually, it's DuckDuckGo told me.
I'm not going by DuckDuckGo. I'm going based upon the fact that I was paying attention to what was happening during the time.
Google it.
I'm actually familiar with the events that took place, and I'm describing them from my perspective.
So Denizen, I'm actually also
you're sending the wrong person to do the job.
So
what does he write about, Frank?
Denizen, actually.
Well, then Frank, post the evidence and save us.
I know
the CIA has been involved with the Russian, like whatever the fuck you guys call it, the Orange Revolution or whatever. They have been involved.
That's
they did the same thing to Russia and Afghanistan. Admittedly, already it's declassified.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just asking.
My thing is, I have ever since the start of the Ukraine invasion, I have been sort of like I've known about and read and heard a lot about this, and part of the issue behind a lot of this is there is a significant amount of disinformation that is disseminated largely from Russia. That Russia, that's kind of their shtick, right? Is
right, but not the CIA.
Okay, I just asked the AI, and it has. I can give you all the answer.
The CIA obviously does disinformation too. However,
it's like the favorite thing of like anything that we don't want to believe is true that doesn't support our political leanings at this particular time is Russian disinformation.
No.
They obviously don't want the AI. So keep going.
Well,
but
I
here's
don't
the
think
thing.
I'm gonna break this down for you real quick, okay? I'm gonna say it declaratively as
Is
usual.
already
So
obsolete.
when Putin says that the CIA caused
Not a
what
threat.
happened in Ukraine, he's lying. When the CIA says that they did very little to cause it to happen, outside of giving rhetorical support, they're lying.
The CIA
Okay,
made a
well, I don't know
series
how
of
to
covert
tell who's
moves that
lying.
helped prepare the Ukrainian
Correct.
security services
I mean,
for the
here's
current
Correct.
crisis.
so
Correct.
here's how you tell that Putin is lying is if he's moving his mouth.
Right.
But it's
And
not
then
the
it
people
may
that
you
are
just
saying it.
Well,
you
that's
just
not intellectually very rigorous.
yeah, that's just what a
Sure, I
baby
don't
would
care.
say.
I mean, sure, but like
You're a political baby. You have the political IQ of a 4-year-old if you talk like that. I'm
I'm
sorry.
Brain doesn't
sorry.
work that way.
I
Like,
can't have an intellectual conversation with
hang
you.
on,
It's not going to be
hang on.
possible.
Hang on, Denizen.
At least
So
not about this topic, this particular
so
topic.
so you agree? So you
Your
think the
brain has
CIA
been eaten away by worms if every single thing Putin ever says is a lie.
I mean,
I think he lies a lot.
I'm gonna
That's
agree
kind of
with
his
Lib on
shtick.
that one, but that's because I seriously dislike Putin for the things that
I don't
he's
like
doing.
him either.
Frank, just
But
show
And
me
he lies a
you're
lot.
always doing
He
this
lies
with
a
these
lot.
But our leaders lie as well. And he
Yeah.
tells
I
the truth
agree,
sometimes.
but there are
Even if
those leaders
consequentially he
that
tells the
don't
truth.
lie.
Even if it's inconsequential, he still has to end up telling the truth sometimes.
I mean, yeah,
Sure.
inadvertently he tells the truth, but it's like
Sure. I mean,
you have to
he's
pay
absolutely sorry. He's said true things before. However, it's in his political interest oftentimes to lie. I mean, hell, look,
Of
just look at
course,
like
just
his
like it is for Biden.
just like look at his justifications for invading Ukraine. They have changed significantly over like
He
the
wants the Russian
couple years.
Empire back.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why he needed the port.
But that's an
He
inference.
needed Crimea, but the water supply, the fact that he took Crimea in 2008 but couldn't control it because Ukraine still had the water supply, it was actually bleeding him instead of becoming a benefit.
Yes.
So he used the Donbass as a physical stronghold in order to spread out into the Black Sea and get the water supply back for Crimea. That's why he did it. Anything else is fucking bullshit. The same exact way that when America does the same exact thing and then says it's for freedom, it's fucking bullshit.
No, I agree. But like again, all of that was an inference. He's not saying that they're doing this because they wanted, because that would, geopolitically look bad for him. He wants to look. Russia wants.
I think he's talking to the American public when he lies.
Yes. Yes.
When he lies in English, it's to us. So that to some people who don't support Biden, it helps erode away at the it helps erode away at the current administration's agenda the way he talks when he lies in English.
We can actually like there's a big difference, like when just look at the Tucker Carlson interview that he did.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of American people say like, oh wow, Putin is such a eloquent like speaker and he knows so much about history, and I'm like, dude,
oh my god,
he was so wrong about most of the things
he fucking
that he was
blamed
talking about.
Poland for getting invaded.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's just one of the things that he was like completely wrong about, and he tried to almost what's the word for it? He wanted to make like it look like it was actually his right to do so. Like it belongs to him.
They want a just war. He doesn't.
It's Mother Russia. Come on, it's
he doesn't.
It's the USSR.
He wants the implication or the insinuation that this is not like a might makes right thing, that he is justified in engaging in this war, obviously.
Yeah, but that's because people don't realize that the guy made himself a messiah in Russia. He actually had the fucking church baptize him.
Yeah, he's he's
immortalized over there. He has like and he fucking changed the constitution in 2020.
Again, though, that's what people throughout history have done.
Russia's had Russia's had problems.
Here's the problem. I don't think that a lot of people actually did it, because if that was the case, that someone in power could just change the constitution on a whim and make sure that he would never lose his position. Don't you think that someone in the United States would already done it? or
Russia
We
has
survived
China.
4 years of Trump. That's as close as I've seen because we
Well,
have our. That's what I like so much about our
It's not
system.
a.
Is
We don't
it's
have a.
so
Yeah, the thing is,
it's
Jeff, like there's a distinction between us, like the American democracy and the Russian Federation's democracy, is that like Russia really hasn't really ever pulled away from their autocracy. Russia's kind of always been a form of autocracy. It's just it's a from back to the days of the czars to the USSR to today. They're just kind of they have had autocratic rulers. That's just like their thing.
I see like Putin as slightly more powerful than our president.
That's because
And
he's
mostly
super
because it's cultural and they actually like
no.
believe in him there. And like
Yeah.
if we like in other words, if Reagan were to run again, he would look just like Putin. Like a
Putin
president that had 70 to 80% of the popular support could get away with the same exact shit Putin's getting away with.
I do not
I don't
agree.
think so.
That's
I think
why
the president
they
has-
put
does
term
not have-
limits in place
Yeah,
when
the-
FDR was president.
the president does not. The president of the United States does not have nearly the same degree of power that Putin has over Russia. Like, I agree with you that like America is not some like fucking perfect democracy where we're free from oligarchy and all this other shit. Like we do have these issues, but not nearly.
Those aren't the two standards I'm talking about. Like near perfect and oligarchy. Like America is super fucking. It's expa-fasciacious away from fucking perfect democracy. It's a fucking. It's what's that dude's name? Verhoeven. Yeah, it's a Paul Verhoeven movie. It's a Paul Verhoeven movie. Fucking propaganda film version of fascism. It's such a ridiculous fucking caricature of a fascist dystopia that it's a fucking joke. So is Russia worse? Probably, but I don't know because I've never been.
I
there.
wouldn't. I mean, well,
Starship Troopers, Jeff. Starship Troopers.
We're so bad. That's why everybody's trying to come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It's because where all the money is.
Yeah, I was about to say that's
Nobody
kind of a
wants to come
poor.
to the United
They don't
States.
give it like they're not coming here for freedom.
Well, Denizen,
They're coming here for economic advantages.
Where else do you want to live?
I want to live. Well, I won't tell you exactly, but it's around Kansas.
But
So
that's
in
in
the United
America.
States.
That's still
That's in the United
America.
Why wouldn't it be America?
No, where do you want to live? If the United
Where do you
States
want
is
to
not
live
the
if not the
country
United
that-
States?
Like, what country would make you happier, or does it better, or satisfies you more?
There's no country that actually
What do you?
does it
I
better.
can't think. Yeah, what's a country that's going to satisfy me?
That's actually
What-
what
what
he,
it-
he
If you
was actually
don't like
arguing. He was
America,
saying that the
where
U.S.
would you
was the.
prefer to be? Which country is
He-
doing it more to your liking? It's not that
He
hard of a
wasn't saying.
question.
He was saying the U.S. was the best country, though. That's what he was saying. He was saying everyone wanted to come here because we're the best.
In that comparison, like it's not that America's the worst. It's that even if it's the best you have to offer is some fascist joke. We live in a global imperialistic system. This is the military seat of the global empire.
The best that we have at this point in history. I'm not.
Well, I mean, best is a very subjective term. I wouldn't even argue with you on that.
I can identify it as the best among everything else that's out there currently, or has been historically up to this point.
Denizen.
I don't even need to engage with that kind of a claim.
Denizen. I agree with you that like America is like the seat of. I guess we're the global power.
Like, where does this entitlement come from?
But like I don't think that like that means that we're like fascistic. Okay, like I understand that Jeff is probably going to laugh at this, but you're using the word fascist very, very loosely.
Yeah.
No, I'm using it like it means corporatism. Like there's very little difference between any kind of institutional room between corporations and the government and the police state that we live in. It's the ultimate expression of fascism. This is just the Fourth Reich.
That's your opinion. That's how you experience it. I have a different
people
experience.
inappropriately using the word
what
fascist.
you're describing doesn't match what I'm experiencing, and we're in the same system, so there's some subjective element to it.
Yeah,
There's
you're
always subjective
brainwashed and
reality.
looking at it from the inside. You're one of the people in the propaganda film that thinks everything's so
Who
great.
brainwashed you? What did they tell me? Like, what am I brainwashed into? What do I believe?
Believing that you don't live in a fascist
It
society.
didn't emerge from
That
my
you
own
aren't enslaved.
We
Yeah,
aren't.
That you aren't
enslaved.
being
Why would I
taxed.
believe I'm
Denizen.
enslaved when I don't feel it? Like, there's no evidence of enslavement.
Denizen,
Well, I
there's
don't
so
think.
many.
Well,
And
you
let me
ask
guess,
why.
Let me guess. You mean pay
I guess. I
taxes
guess
for-
by why I would say all the
It's just
overwhelming
literally
evidence that you do live in a fascist society. But if you don't feel a certain way, I don't expect you to think a certain way.
Denizen,
Okay, then we're
Denizen,
good.
you and I agree on so many
Yeah.
things. Why can't you like
What?
use better language to describe? Okay, like for instance, right? You saying we are enslaved. Okay, like you understand that's hyperbolic, right?
No.
That's hyperbole. Yep.
It's absolutely hyperbole.
No.
It is objectively hyperbole. Like I'm a fucking communist, Denizen. Okay, I'm farther along than you are. Like I can guarantee you that. Okay, but like I wouldn't use that phrase because it's fucking wrong.
No. I definitely wouldn't agree with you on that.
I
It's accurate and correct.
okay.
We
what
do
is-
not live in a police state. I'm
And
sorry.
we absolutely live in
actually,
a police
no,
state.
we do live in a police state. That is, our police are very militarized. Yeah, no, Chuck.
They do not control
It just becomes
our
at a certain
everyday
point where I get tired
activity.
of like dumbing down everything I say and ignoring blatant, obvious realities to the point that like I'm already inarticulate and impatient as to begin with, but it gets to a certain point where it's just like I'm not just going to sit around trying to like pause for the 8 seconds it would take for me to find a word that would be more palatable for you when fascism is correct. It is accurate as fuck.
I have a PDF file for you, but it's
is
on.
Umberto Eco's 10 Features of Fascism or whatever?
No, it's actually Cold War allies: the origins of CIA's relationship with the Ukraine.
Oh, actually, if you
And it started back in the summer of 1949.
Can you
now?
post
And
that?
I could say this real quick to you, Lib. You got to like the evidence from there is bullshit. Like a lot of it is like it comes straight out of Putin's asshole, right? And I think you would be able to discern the difference between what is and what isn't. But the idea, like that there's no evidence that the United States deliberately caused the situation we're in right now on purpose.
No, it's not that I don't think there's no evidence. It's that I don't think that there is sufficient evidence.
Okay.
There's a difference. Like for instance, a piece of Russian propaganda saying that is evidence of it, but I don't believe it is sufficient evidence, right? Like,
if everything could be traced back to being Russian propaganda, then nothing's real. Hunter's laptop is Russian propaganda. Trump is a Russian asset. The Russians literally hacked the election on 2016. Like if any time someone tries to make a truth claim, the response is Putin's under your bed making it up. Then where do you go from there? You're gonna stop right there.
It's not so much about that. It's about understanding the way in which that kind of propaganda is propagated and seeing it's a very subjective thing. Like I'm not saying that what I'm talking about is objective, but what I am saying is that in all of my research into this topic, what the Ukraine invasion and all this stuff seems to be is predicated on Russia wanting to take bits of Ukraine. They want Ukraine to not be folded into the influence of NATO, which I think that's relatively uncontroversial, but like anything other than that is kind of superfluous. Like other reasons for their invasion are kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
Because that is
although I will say that even though I think it was a bullshit claim, but in time since it started, there has been a lot of things that have come out that do make their whole make the whole thing of them trying to denazify Ukraine seem a lot more legitimate than like I ever had any right to be. That should have been the stupidest claim ever. But there is a lot of Nazis in Ukraine. They're swear to God, there really are.
I mean, that's true of actually a number of European countries that aren't Germany, because Germany, this is a very complex. So the denazification thing is very complicated. I.e., there are a lot of Nazis in a lot of Western democracies.
There are really like Nazis.
Well, they're
in Ukraine,
neo-Nazis.
yeah, there
Are
are.
like left wing cartoon fantasy Nazis that they get
No,
off
no,
the
no, no.
It's National
they're
Socialists.
like actually like
Hold on.
Heil Zeig, you know, like
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, Jeff,
Hold on. There are just as many Nazis in Russia
Yes, no.
as
This
there
is
are
not.
in
Yeah, I was about to say.
Ukraine.
It's just that Russia's a much bigger country, so it's the same number of them. I wouldn't say it's the same percentage of them.
Sure, but like the whole point of this is that
What?
like
Hold on.
the existence of Nazis in democracies more has to do with the democracies being more open to freedom of speech than non-democracies. Like that's kind of a big thing. Like in a lot of these countries, you can't be like put in jail for being a Nazi, which, as much as I might detest the ideology, I think is good and valuable, because I don't think people should, go to jail for thought crimes. So there is like, that's honestly probably the better explainer than probably anything I've ever heard for why, like, there are Nazis in Ukraine. I don't think it's because Ukraine has some unique problem with neo-Nazis or anything like that. Ukraine
it's because
has
of its history against communism.
Yeah,
That's why.
Yeah,
because they take that shit personally because of the history with Russia.
Well, yeah, because of the Holodomor, which, like, yeah, no, I understand why why Ukraine has I guess we call quote unquote a Nazi problem, but like that's not like it's not a unique problem to European countries. Most European countries have it to some degree or another.
But these motherfuckers are right next door, right?
We
That's
don't
the thing.
call it.
So
we
it's
don't
just a
call
little
it-
bit more concentrated there.
We also don't call it Nazis over here, or at least not to my knowledge. We have neo-Nazis and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but it's more like extreme right. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that makes more
extremism.
sense to me than Nazi. That seems
Right.
like a
Well, Nazi's a buzz
It's
term to get people on Twitter to change their
They
avatar
use
to an
stickers and
orange.
everything. They use the swashes and everything. To be fair,
Yeah, Jeff. The reason why
the Nazi term has a negative connotation because of the World War II, but it's just
But
extreme right. It's fucking extreme right.
the same.
That's it.
And they use the same.
Right, and you're trying to
tactics of
maximize the
propaganda.
effect you
No,
get.
no, it's not just that.
Point
I
from your
like.
side by saying
I'm not either.
No,
yeah,
I'm not.
That's what I'm trying to do either. I was surprised when that stuff came out. I was really shocked. I thought that was bullshit.
Jeff, are far right, like anti-Semitic, like fascistic elements. They use the same propaganda that neo-Nazis use. They use the same iconography.
Well, just say far right, and I'd understand you much better.
Well,
and
but
feel
it's
less
not
manipulated.
it's not just far right.
Iconography or the symbolism, that's again, that's just a wash and repeat of fucking history. Because
what do you mean it's not just far right?
It is just far right.
Ukraine. So, like, for instance, Viktor Orban, right, the whatever president or prime minister of not Ukraine, of Hungary, he's far right, okay, but he's not. I don't think he's ideologically a Nazi, okay. So there's a difference between, for instance, Viktor
So it's
Orban.
like a subset of far right.
Yes, they are. I mean, they are far right, but like they are a subset of far right. Like the Azov Battalion is a neo-Nazi Ukrainian military. I mean, they got fucking wiped out, which, like, thank fucking God. But
a lot of them think the Nazis were correct
in Ukraine. But that's, again, because
that's what makes them a little bit different.
Not just in Ukraine, by the way. In the entire world, there are people that think that Hitler was right.
But it's not as much of a problem in other places. Like, there's a reason why it's a unique Ukrainian problem, and there's a lot of historical reasons as to why it is a bigger problem in Ukraine than it is in other countries. Like Ukraine does have, or at least did have a neo-Nazi militia. Other European countries don't have like neo-Nazi militias. Ukraine has them.
So they're like the Idaho of Europe.
It might not be as open.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I
yes,
have to disagree as someone who lives in Europe that it's not just Ukraine and other countries have the exact same fucking issue that
No,
they
yeah,
have.
and this is where Putin is utterly full of fucking shit. It's really not that complicated. It's complicated how he can get certain people to believe that stupid fucking bullshit, but he made that
Yeah.
stupid fucking bullshit up, and it's stupid fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just saying that whenever like some of the information came out about the actual Nazis in Ukraine, it shocked me that it wasn't just complete bullshit.
No,
That
yeah.
there
I didn't
actually
believe it
were
when it
that there
came out.
actually was a large concentration of Nazis in Ukraine. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that that's real. I mean, it
no,
was
it is.
shocking to me that they weren't like even neo-Nazis. They're
but-
like classic Nazis, even like
But
they're
at
like.
the same time, Chris, they didn't give you the same information about the Russian neo-Nazis because
Yeah.
have you seen them sporting
Oh, I
the
don't
fucking
doubt it.
their
I don't doubt it.
symbol?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I don't
Which
doubt
is
it.
ironic.
I don't doubt that there really are. After seeing that, I don't doubt that there's Nazis a
They
lot
have
more. There are
half
real
of
Nazis
they have
everywhere.
half of the swastika. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
They
it's
are
a
not bold enough to actually use the entire fucking swastika. They use the Z.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
It
joking.
says
Like
it
that's
represents
literally
a
how
tiny
they make
minority
sure
of
that
the
people know
Ukrainian
that they're
population.
actually
yes. Well,
Nazis.
yeah, no,
They
Jeff.
don't hold significant power in the government.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if I did
Yeah.
my homework right, originally when Hitler started off in the wee south of Germany, it was a group that was against communism. Is
Yeah.
how it started.
Specifically
Yeah.
Bolshevist communism, because the party was
Yeah.
called National Socialism. They were pro quote unquote socialism, at least until the night of broken glass, when Hitler's faction purged the actual socialists out of their party.
Yes.
Or was it broken glass or long knives? I can't. It was either the night of long knives or night of broken
Hey,
glass.
well,
They
here's
purged
a quick
Isn't it
question.
called? I think they call it Kristallnacht over here.
Kristallnacht,
but
yeah.
Yeah, quick question. I'm just wondering. I've asked this question before, and I've seen this question asked before, and especially from Jewish people, it gets like people get like irate when you ask this question. But do you think do you think they name themselves the Nazi Party in reference to Ashkenazi as like as kind of like you
No.
think it's a complete
No,
coincidence?
it's an acronym. It's a
because
it's like an acronym from the German
yeah, it's a.
translation.
But I think they did. I think they did it on purpose.
That's your
though.
writer's brain connecting
Yeah,
things
that is
resemble it.
like
That's
It's
your,
like they're
what is it
spelled the
called?
same.
I don't. Yeah, no. Also, because
What you think it
like,
has to do with
You're in Smith
Ashkenazis?
territory.
well, because the original National Socialist Party was not nearly as anti-Semitic as it later became.
Okay.
Yes.
The Hitler faction sort of like very much amplified the anti-Semitism of the party.
So if we had a regular guest on the program who was a Nazi, could we do a segment called Ask a Nazi?
Ask it.
Oh God,
I was on a
one.
That is
podcast
so
with an
bad.
actual Nazi one day.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm sorry. Somebody it was serious for too long. Somebody had to make a joke. I'm sorry.
It's funny, but
it's
like
a bad joke. A bad joke is still better than no joke at all.
Well, you
the
you know
Karens
an
are
ex-Nazi,
gasping at the moment,
Chris.
Chris. Karens are
It's also-
gasping.
it's also worth noting that like people openly calling themselves Nazis is much less common nowadays.
That word has no meaning for us. I just tune out when I hear it. I'm
Well,
like, this person's
see,
not serious
when
about
I'm-
communicating.
when
anything to me.
I'm using the word, I'm talking about far right,
out there,
fascistic anti-Semites.
I'd
Well,
rather
except-
you. That would
except
make
for-
more
except for
sense
the
to
guy-
me if you said that than if you said Nazi. I would take
except
you
for
more
the guy
seriously.
except for the guy that they gave the standing ovation to at the Canadian like Parliament, who literally was an actual Nazi that actually fought for the Nazis in World War II.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
oops.
Was that like an oops with like a Dr. Evil pinky to the mouth? I don't know.
It was an actual oops.
He was an actual oops, but it's still hilarious.
I don't know about that.
No, I was. But like, all this to say,
I'm just saying in that case, that guy, and there were actual classic Nazis in Ukraine. Like, people actually fought for the Nazis in World War II.
yes.
That was what my point was originally. I was
That's
surprised by that. I didn't know
actually
that was a
why.
thing.
It
I
makes sense.
thought all those people were dead by now. I didn't think that they were still out there. Like, so I was just like, I was like, what, Nazis? Like,
The propaganda
I mean,
still lives on. Like,
yeah, I
there are
was gonna say
still
the
people
propaganda
that
still,
like
yeah.
actively hate Jewish people.
which
Oh,
is
yeah.
stupid
No
as fuck.
fucking reason other than just being Jewish.
Well, we can thank Europe for that, and America can thank Europe for any anti-Semitism over here. So thanks, Europe. We love how
Thanks,
when we came
Europe.
over here,
You're awesome.
we imported the anti-Semitism, all right?
Wait, how
Well,
did
they're not
Thank
against
Europe
all the
you,
actually?
Semites.
Wait.
Just the half
Hold on.
European ones.
Hey, let her talk. Hang on.
Did
Go
you
ahead.
just blame Europeans for having anti-Semitism, because it actually stems from the Ashkenazis and the Judaism. It's not something
The
that just
Judaism. She said
happened.
that like she was Hitler.
Yeah, I know.
Jude-
And I'm
Wait,
sorry.
what do you mean? Sorry,
They
Are you-
they went over, like, where did they come from? They come from I'm so not well versed in this whole fucking thing,
Europe.
so I should
Well-
not talk about this. But they went over to the Holy Land and they claimed it as their own, and then they started this whole anti-Semitism shit.
No, so anti-Semitism has been around. The idea, that like sort of ideology, maybe not in that like word, has been around, but like that idea has been around for a long time.
Yes.
Going back
The
to
word
going back
is an
to
oxymoron.
the 1500s, 1600s has like as published,
Yeah.
anti-Jewish propaganda, like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion comes from
Yeah,
what, the
in
1500s.
Europe, European Jews who came to Europe were very limited in how they could like work. Like there were very limited amounts of jobs they could do, because Europeans were very at the time didn't really like Jews. At the time, the Catholic Church still blamed Jews for the death of Jesus, and given that Europe was very Christian at the time, that did not make Europeans like Jews very much, and as such, that's where you get a lot of European anti-Semitism sort of like began from, is from fucking 1,000 years ago.
I thought
Yeah, it
Hitler
is.
actually was the one who made it impossible for them to get a normal job, and that's why they
Well,
went into
I mean,
banking.
No,
in
goes
Germany,
back way
yes.
before,
Yeah, well, I mean,
way
so
before that.
yeah, what I'm talking about is like in like the 900s AD.
Oh yeah, I wasn't born then, so
Wow.
Yeah. Well, but that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking
None of
about
us
where
were.
it,
None of us
yeah,
were.
I'm talking about where it
Except for-
started.
no, we
But
weren't.
then,
Maybe
but then
me. I
by
might be an immortal. You don't know.
by
You'll
the-
never know.
by the 1800s, by the 1800s, a lot of the legal discrimination had sort of, not all of it, but a decent portion of it had sort of faded away just because of the de-emphasization of the church on public life. However, anti-Semitism still was kind of around, and then the Nazis kind of pumped it back up to 11, which was why after post World War II, the Jews, well, specifically Zionists, but Zionist Jews had asked or wanted a homeland, wanted a place where they could be, where they would not be persecuted,
Yeah,
and
national.
The Holy Land.
and given that the world powers at the time weren't exactly like some cool, neat, progressive, like the people who
They didn't do it the way Lib would have done it.
well, I mean,
But they had the League of
yeah.
Nations, which is like most countries in the world, so that's pretty settled.
I
Well,
think
sure.
they deliberately wanted to cause
But we've
like
had this
1,000 years of
conversation
chaos.
so many times on here where we loop about the history of modern day Israel.
Who
Yeah.
could have possibly known that the Ottoman Empire, right? If they took the Jews and slapped them right in the center of what was the Ottoman Empire, that it would have been a problem. How could anybody have foreseen there would have been any kind of inability to get along?
It's the gun
A lot of
circle
the-
thing again. How could
If only we had known.
a lot of the propaganda around that sort of idea was a people without a land and a land without a people, except for the fact that there were people living there. So
So
fuck them.
I mean,
But
you can
no, don't
that's
say
you can
that.
you can that can be your perspective, but like in that case, like I mean,
That was their perspective. I'm
that's
pretty
a-
sure.
Germany,
I'm
that's
pretty sure that's how it
Germany-
went down. I'm pretty sure Britain was like, fuck them.
Germany proved that point before the war when they sent out the SS St. Louis from Hamburg, full of Jewish people,
Uh-huh.
and nobody would take them in.
Yeah, people were really anti-Semitic. Yeah,
So
it wasn't
weird.
just
In
the
the
Nazis that
world.
were
It's such
anti-Semitic.
it's such a weird thing to like think of. I mean, like even like even Christian Christian, like, you know, practically canonized saints like Martin. I mean, they're not canonized because he's Protestant, but like people in the Protestant religion, basically, might as well be canonized saints. Like Martin Luther was like vehemently anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
You know, like it's just like it's ridiculous. It's so bizarre to think of like how
But I mean, like,
anti-Semitic people
how-
were for so long.
And it's
But I
even
mean-
scarier that you actually and this is just over here, at least in Europe, that you can actually see it, like the cycle is repeating itself, but this time
Yeah.
not with the Jewish people, but with the people from Afghanistan and the people from
immigrants.
Syria,
and
and
immigrants. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're starting to
the
see a lot of
immigrants,
that
but
same-
from a specific country. It's not
Area.
just all
Yeah.
the immigrants. It's
Well, it's-
Syria, it's
yeah, it's-
Afghanistan.
Well, I would say, I mean, so broadly, the propaganda is that it's about Islam, but I do think that a lot of it has to do. I mean, it somewhat has to do with Islam, but it more has to do with the it's the race stuff. It's their
Anti-Semitism, which is literally Semite.
well, yeah, actually, yeah,
No,
it
there's-
is.
there's no
Semite
such
is
thing.
someone from the Levant. Yeah,
There's no such thing as
Semite- yeah.
anti-Semitism. Arabs are Semites.
yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Is like it's literally is anti-Semitism because it's like because a Semite means like a desert person or something like that.
A Semite is someone who spoke one of the Semitic languages. So
Yeah,
it's
so
Jews, Arabs,
Yeah.
Persians.
Well,
These-
actually, so it actually Semite doesn't refer to Persians. Semite just refers to people who lived, people who are like ethnically from the Levant, which is basically the western portion of the.
But
Middle
what
East.
it means is anti-Jewish. At least
Yeah,
for
when you
centuries
That's how
in
it's
our
used.
Bible.
Colloquially, we use anti-Semite to mean anti-Jewish. Yes,
Not
But
even
the word-
colloquially, like that's pretty much all it
Yeah.
means in the modern
Yeah.
world.
but the word
In the modern
Semite,
world,
the word
yes.
Semite, it does refer to people of the Levant. So yes, you could argue that the current sort of anti-immigration stuff of Europe is
I'm
anti-Semitic
here
in the very
Frank.
literal
It's
sense.
fine. I'm here.
But obviously it's not how we colloquially use the word. Even though I think like it works. It it kind of tracks, considering they're also using a lot of the very similar kinds of propaganda to
Well, both
demonize-
Jews,
Well,
both
I know
Jews and
one of the-
Arabs are both anti-Semitic.
Can I make
One
a
of the
joke just for
northern-
1 second?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
You know who actually does the propaganda?
Who?
British people.
Yeah. Fuck British. All right. You know what?
Because
Okay.
they got a propaganda.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, finally. Okay, thank you.
Here's
I'll
the-
shut up
Australians could
now.
qualify too,
All right.
their ass. They got a propaganda.
All right. I'm gonna leave on this, okay? Because I actually have to go. We have friends over, but I'm gonna leave everyone with this.
Ooh,
There's
friends, aren't you
there's one
special?
there's one acceptable group to be racist towards, and that is British people. Okay, no other group. But you
100%.
you are
the
absolutely
teeth.
allowed.
Wow.
I only hate two kinds of people.
I was hoping we could go over the
prejudice
14
and the
defining
British.
characteristics of fascism before you left.
We did that Umberto Eco thing. I did a whole stream on it one day.
Yeah, which is why that's how I use the term fascist is like
yeah, which is not that. That's what
Patriotic
I don't understand.
mottos,
Let me go way out.
slogans,
Let me just make this
symbols,
point
songs,
before you-
flags.
Hang on. Dan.
Human
Let me
rights
make
can
this
be
point before
ignored.
Dan, I need the microphone. Let me make this point before.
I need some
Please.
microphone.
See, I already forgot it. God damn it. Go ahead.
He was
Welcome
saying
to
how
ADHD.
he uses your stream that you did as the example
Oh,
for what
Leah.
fascism
Okay, I
is.
remembered it now.
Yeah.
I'm never sure if you're actually trying to communicate because you're so married to using language in a certain way instead of in the meeting the person you're talking to where they are linguistically to bridge that understanding.
What do you mean?
And I just want to leave you with that because I want to talk about that next time of why there's so many different ways I would communicate than with the way you do it with the words you choose. And so I'm never sure if you're choosing to communicate or if you have some other purpose for using those words.
So provocation
with your ability to communicate.
I understand what you're saying. However, I'm not sure what you mean by this in relation to fascism, because I feel like I have been pretty explicit anytime I've used.
I'm just talking about in general, word. And no, you haven't, but we can definitely take this up next time.
Sure, please, because I do think this is an interesting topic and one that I think I could definitely benefit from.
Because after we weed through the language, I'm like, oh yeah, if that's what he was trying to say, sure, I get it, yeah. But if you would just start at that point, we could.
I guess I understand what you're meaning. I don't feel like anytime I've used the word fascist that I've used it.
I'm not talking about I've moved on from just that one word.
Okay.
Just a general observation about
in
you
general,
and language.
Yeah. Then in general, I actually
could your motives for communicating.
Okay. Then I think that's actually a good topic that at some point I would like to talk about, because if that's
why do you talk the way that you talk, Lib? That's the question that we have.
Provocation.
I think that's a common perception among people who feel provoked during a conversation.
Maybe
it's actually a projection.
I mean, that's always a possibility, but also I'm open to the possibility that I'm not being as clear as I could be, and I don't want to be. I don't like being misconstrued.
Ideologue.
Right. But I find that's consistent among all of us, right?
Which is why I personally have so much respect for you, because I always know that like you're at least open. You're at least open to the idea that you might not be communicating yourself quite right, and like I think that's very admirable, because like almost everybody else is
and you're talking to someone that has a lifelong history of communication difficulties. So I am.
Yeah,
I find it's usually a sign of a hidden agenda.
Same.
I mean,
dude, I am fucking eloquent, and I don't give a shit if you agree with me or not.
I do not think it's intentional. I'm not saying it's doing intentional. I'm just pointing out that
Chuck, I do actually.
It confuses me as to what is he trying to communicate, or is he trying to do something else that he needs this particular language for?
Yeah, and also it's worth noting, Chuck, I understand that. However, I do want to emphasize that my goal is to be as open and honest as possible. I don't want to be deceptive or anything like that, because I think that my political ideas can survive scrutiny, and I don't think that I don't.
There's no.
Well, I mean, sure, you can you can rhetorically use rhetoric tricks to sort of get points across, but I think that's different than
really like ham-handed ones.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, yeah, but that's mostly because I don't want them to be tricks. I don't want people to feel tricked or feel deceived.
We'll help you work on that then.
when they talk to me. I don't want someone to be like, oh, well, I thought you were this. No, I want look, I'm an anarchist, I'm a commie, whatever.
It should be deliberate.
Yeah, I want people to understand where I am and where I'm coming from, very explicitly and openly, because I think honesty is the best policy. And I really wish people were. I mean, sure, it might be a platitude, but
was it Bezos? Well, have fun with your friend. And it was good talking.
And hey, do you want this bag?
It is a cool bag.
I mean, I'm not trying to charge you for it. I'm just gonna send it to you. Just send me your address.
Yeah, I'll send you my address.
Okay,
it's a really cool bag.
You owe me a definition of fascism.
I'm just saying, it's literally made for people that do paper and dice role playing games.
Yeah,
and
I do.
It's got all the pockets and everything in it. So,
and Denizen, I actually I can go with you. I mean, it'll just be
when you're not.
Yeah, it'll just be us going through Umberto Eco's 10 points, because I think that's probably the best definition I've ever heard, or not definition, but the best
At
feature.
the same time, is it though? I mean, it
think so.
is, and it is, and it's not, because
fascism's a very difficult ideology to pin down. So
I was going to explain it from my
I don't think
perspective.
every one of his points is exactly right, though. I don't think every one of his points really points at fascism as much as as people.
This
think
is
it
a
does.
Southern goodbye, by the way, for those who are sometimes
A
not.
Southern goodbye. Jesus
Yeah, we
Christ,
talked about
this is
the
the
Irish
longest
goodbye
goodbye
the
that
other
I've
day.
ever
Yeah,
fucking
an Irish
heard.
goodbye is whenever we just leave. A Southern goodbye is whenever we
This
say
is the
goodbye for
Southern
an
goodbye.
hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, they go forever.
an Irish
I
or
always
a
dread the moment that I actually have to leave somewhere, so I already start like I do this in
Yeah.
actual fucking real life because I hate leaving or hate
Yeah,
being the one disrupting the flow of the conversation. But holy shit, dude, you're taking your sweet time.
Yes, no, I definitely am. And this is the southern, it's the southerner in me. However,
Yeah,
the autist in me will just like sort of up and
maybe all Southerners are autists then, because I swear to God,
This is LAX announcing the departure of Flight
Points.
32 in
Points
29
for
minutes.
Points for Liv.
because I grew up in like not just a Southern household, but I grew up in a Southern Baptist household. My dad was a Southern Baptist minister, and I spent so many nights where I ended up falling asleep in the car waiting for my parents to finish saying goodbye to people.
Yeah. And at church, they would hang out like over an hour in front of they would hang out longer after church than in mass.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly.
For me,
yeah.
it's just
I
so
just read that, by the
anxiety.
way. The Umberto thing, I think it's a terrible description of fascism.
The Echo?
Yeah, it's like only Nazism. It's a very narrow, myopic, limited view of
He really broadened the term. So that's what they're doing. They take a term that's associated with something really negative. It's hyperbole, and then they broaden it to everything else to try to associate those.
But that's the opposite of what's happening here. People are trying to make fascism out to be Hitler. Like that Umberto Eco thing, it's basically a description of Hitler, not a description of fascism. Fascism is a much broad topic than just one example of fascism in one place at one time.
There are so many fascists. It's not just Hitler. It cannot be.
Yeah, and it's very Nazi specific, his description. I find it lacking, myopic, and not useful, really. I don't know why you like Nazi. If you're gonna say if it was like 10 points of Nazism, then I think it would be more accurate. And then, but I don't know how useful that is.
I think he's trying to use an instance of fascism to extrapolate certain general principles of it.
Yeah, but then you're
he's taking the Nazi version,
but he's ignoring all the other instances and excluding them with his description, though.
Yeah, it doesn't fit very well if you
we did
apply
a whole,
it to like
Franco
and if you do find the Franco in the Spanish fascism.
I mean, aren't there like levels of fascism, like even in like other countries or other like world leaders, not just that one specific person? I don't know, but I like Chris's idea for Ask a Nazi.
Of course you do.
I dig the name.
Well, we'll keep our eye out for one.
You know one,
Jeff.
a lot
around.
Well, we had Joshua Jones around. We could have asked him.
No, you know an ex-Nazi.
We do.
Ex-Nazi?
Yeah.
Chalcott?
No, I'm being for real.
Oh,
who?
Fatty?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get Fatty on here.
He's an ex-Nazi. He'll tell you all about it.
Actual Nazi or
allegedly?
Like
more like neo-Nazi.
Idaho militias.
Idaho. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
Oh, he's an ex neo-Nazi. He's an ex neo-Nazi.
A lot of the militias and white separatists.
Right. So it's just the new version of being a Nazi. It's just the negative connotation for just being, racist and.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they're in a culture war, so they're gonna try to make the words into as sharp of weapons as they can. Yeah, Uncle Fatty.
Uncle Fatty. There you
Uncle,
go.
I haven't seen him in the chat the last few days, which I miss him because like Uncle Fatty made some comedy gold out of a still of my face that I'm still laughing about to this day. So
well, with all this
I wish
with all this fresh snow, he's been getting a lot of work in on the slopes. He's an instructor, I think.
Oh, is he? That's
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't even know that.
I believe snowboarding and skiing or something like that. I could
That's
be
crazy.
wrong, but I
That's
thought that's
crazy.
what he
I
said.
never would have pegged him for that. That's insane. That's crazy. That's
I'm
awesome.
telling you, me either.
I mean, I'm always surprised by people in these panels. Like when I find out like anything about their personal lives, I'm always like, really? That's what you do? Oh my god, that's insane. You know, like, and it's always like stuff. It's like it's not like cool enough to like make up, but it's like but it's weird enough to be surprising. You know, it's like you know like why would you make that up? You know, like,
Yeah, I seen a comment yesterday or day before where he said it was day 87 on the slope. So
okay,
I
yeah,
meant he
makes
must be
sense.
working a lot.
Well, I mean, I guess we're wrapping up anyway. I mean, it's like we've been going at this for 3 hours and 15 minutes now. So,
Mine
anyway,
says
but
2 hours.
Really it says 2 hours in yours. Okay, so like, what the hell? Like, why
2 hours
is my
and 47 minutes on mine. Is what it
my
says.
clock is way off then? Like, what time is it actually? Like, I guess my okay, yeah, okay, so like my phone says 4:47. My computer says it's 5:15. My computer clock
Whoa.
somehow is like in a full like. That is crazy.
That will mess you up. Yep.
That it is messing me up. Like I think it's been happening the last couple of days actually. I didn't even realize it just now. And like I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. So I've got to like China. It's China's fault. China.
That's an Apple product, isn't it?
It's an app. Yeah, I'm streaming on a Mac. I just
China.
like it's
China.
been sitting. Yeah, China. It's made for China.
Oh
Sorry.
my god.
No, I don't think it's racist. It's not racist at all. We call it that because it comes from China.
Trump says it sounds like it's how he's saying. It sounds like what he's saying every time he says it. Like what we're making fun of it. It sounds like he's not talking about a country. It sounds like he's
China.
talking about something else.
I mean,
find
who
it
are
how
we talking
fast
about now? Are we talking about
how
Trump?
fascinating it is that how much we helped China against the Japanese and they turned on us like they did. I find that just absolutely fascinating.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think China. I mean, I think
Friends of convenience.
Japan's also a good example of a country that kind of turning on. Like there wasn't really a lot of evidence that Japan was going to join like the Axis at the time until like they did, and they like it's just like one of those things, like where like like where like that was kind of a shock in itself. So like I think that it's see if I can get this thing just reset right.
The axis of evil.
China.
It's China.
Yep.
China.
It's China.
Yeah, he overemphasizes.
We're gonna have an
beginning.
entire panel of echolalia right now, like people just constantly repeating the same fucking word over and over and
China.
over, just because it sounds good. China.
I have a lot of antique China that I'm trying to get rid of right now. So.
Do you?
Well, I guess we could end on that. The little China. Sweet.
China.
You got China.
Someone clip.
Yeah, I have a lot of like this. An ex roommate left a bunch of like antique stuff here that I'm trying to get rid of, but desperately because I don't need.
The oldest
is it
written
complete
story
set?
I think is Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
I have the greatest words.
Is it made in China?
It is made in China. It's actually Chinese China.
China.
It's very old. It's like from the 50s and 60s. So
it's China.
I've been trying to figure out what to do with it, but
I'm a Western chauvinist. I really only know the Western stuff. So in the West, I think it's Epic of Gilgamesh. That's what I would answer if I was on
You getting crystal?
Be a millionaire.
Do I have crystal? Yeah, I do. Do you want it, Chuck?
I'm talking about as in the glassware.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, do
I
you?
thought you meant like the
No, I
gypsum
wasn't
stones.
talking about
I have
meth.
so many
No, I
crystals.
was talking about the glassware. I don't
Yeah,
have
I
this
any
thought
is
you
meth
an
were
here
talking
now.
about the
entertainment
Breaking
stream.
Bad
We don't
shit.
do drug
Yeah.
deals over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any meth here to send
Sure.
anybody.
They
But
got so
I
many
don't have any
names
meth
for
here,
that
period.
Yo,
crap.
Mr. White, you got any crystal left?
I want some. Throw me some extra ice in there with that.
Yeah, if you want, I'll send you some pictures. If you want it, like, I'll send it to you for the price of the shipping on it. It's the only thing. Yeah.
Because I lost all mine when my house burned down.
The
I've
home
got
shopping
I've got a bunch of
Alex,
really
you don't have
interesting.
to pay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get rid of stuff right now. I'm done with trying to sell some stuff.
Downsizing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get. It's a fire sale right now for
Nothing,
in terms of this stuff. I
Yeah.
just I want less stuff in my house. I mean, my house is just stuff full. The reason why you see the junk behind me is because there's nowhere else for it to go. It's not because I haven't had. It's not because I don't. It's not because I don't clean up. It's because, like, right now, that's the only place I have to put
You're
that
not a
stuff.
hoarder. That's just
No,
spillover.
well, I mean, you could say that. I guess you could call me a hoarder, but I mean,
I
it's
mean,
not
look
like
at
it's not intentional. It's
look
mostly
at that
also was
shirt,
left here by
Jeff.
other people.
Look at that
What?
shirt. That'll tell you he's a hoarder.
The shirt,
Is that a
the shirt used
hoarder
to be
shirt?
inventory. The shirt used to be inventory from my store from a brand called Love in Paris, and on the back of it, weirdly enough, it's a jersey that says Louis the 16th.
Is that a
What the
female
hell?
top? Is that male or female?
It's a male. It's a male shirt. It's streetwear. It's like
Yes,
6-year-old
Frank.
streetwear.
If it's the end of the show, I will let him do anything. If it means it's the end.
Chris Tommy? Did you call me Chris Tommy?
No, Tommy is a
Whoa.
verb.
Yeah, okay.
I like the shirt. I want one.
Yeah, it's a cool shirt. I mean, I think it's a good shirt. I have no issue with the shirt, but it is a
I don't
man's
think
shirt.
a lot of people actually understand, like, the whatever the fuck. I cannot speak. I'm gonna stop talking. I like the shirt.
Well, I'm gonna.
Holy
I
Thank
was
you,
wrapping
Duchess. I
up
appreciate
anyway.
it.
But Chris, do you want to?
You got it
keep it going on your
discombobulated
channel?
over there, Chris.
What's it? Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I was.
It's probably the
I
shoulders.
was very, very upset. I was very upset by that comment.
I'm
Chris.
flustered.
Yeah,
I'm flustered.
Do you, Chris?
China.
Do you want to keep it going on your channel? So I can.
No,
wrap up?
I'm done.
Tempting me
No,
with
I'm
Big
good.
Brother.
I'm good, guys. You guys go watch Big Brother and have fun doing that. When you
Not
guys switch
Big
back, when you
Brother.
guys switch
I
back
mean,
to
y'all are
Survivor,
like 6 minutes away from Talcott anyway.
when you guys switch back to Survivor, let me know and I'll come
Well,
join.
we
and watch.
can't. We were
watch them.
saving that season for you, and then we never saw you again. So we can.
I was busy. I'm not doing anything tonight, but I might try. I might try. Hey, and it just like I might take I might take a cue from you, Frank. I'm going to try to start streaming some games. Like, I haven't figured out a
I
good
saw
way
you
to
this
do
morning. I caught you one this morning, but I didn't want to type anything because
that was a test.
I wanted you to.
That was a
be able to
test.
focus.
That was just a test. I was just testing to see if it worked from the PS5.
It was very pink.
So, was it? Did it not look good? Okay, I haven't checked it
I
out
didn't
yet.
say. I say it was a pink. I just didn't good.
That's
It was-
weird. I don't know
Whatever
why it
the
was
game you
pink.
were playing had a lot of pink in it.
I was playing Hammer Watch 2. It was only just a test to see if the streaming from the PS5 worked. That was all it was. But I was just trying to see if it worked. But yeah. Anyway, Chuck wants you to send him that shirt. I don't think that Chuck does want me. I think he wants some crystal pieces. He wants me to send him the crystal, Mr. White, like she says.
The
But no,
legal kind.
I've got a box full of antique crystal pieces. I'll send
Oh,
you
okay.
one.
All right.
So anyway,
well,
good night, everybody.
I'll jump off so
Yeah,
you
we'll
guys
be here
can sign
tomorrow.
off.
Same time.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Same Outliers time, same Outliers channel.
Yes.
And if people are not ready to end the fun, Jack Talcott is streaming in a few minutes, so
If you think that's fun.
y'all could continue there. Yeah, if that's it can be. It depends on who he lets on that day.
I'll go back to jumping on other people's streams eventually. I just haven't been. I've had too much of my mind to be into it lately. Like
Dennis
totally-
wants me to go live.
I would, doesn't, but I'm really. I have a lot of work.
Live
You
beyond fear.
Do you see all this trash and everything? This is the reason it's in this state right now is because I haven't gotten to it, and I need to do things with it and move it
we're
out of my house.
enabling him.
So I'm trying to actually declutter. So I actually have to get up and go do, you know.
Well, I'm going to help you out right now. There you go. Okay. We'll be here tomorrow and see you then. Fear without love of fear. Okay. Yeah, that. Just Google Jack Talk here. I'll put his channel. If you haven't had the pleasure yet, Jack Talk. I like it. It's like because he lets on trolls that disrupt the panel. But when it's not trollish, they have some really good conversations similar to what we had. So. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. Frank, give me 5-ish and I'll meet you there.